Every man begins his journey into the realm of love and relationships from a place of innate hope. This isn't a learned behavior, but an inherent part of his initial blueprint, a clean slate characterized by unwavering optimism and a fundamental belief in fairness. He enters with his heart wide open, armed with the conviction that the principles of loyalty, sacrifice, and wholehearted giving are a universal language. Contract that, if honored, guarantees mutual permanence. He sees the woman he chooses through this lens of idealism, convinced that her promises of forever are as solid and unwavering as his own commitment. Without a second thought, he hands her his entire heart, viewing the act not as a risk but as the natural first step in building a shared future. He is certain that her word is her bond, etched into something permanent and unchangeable. This hopeful beginning is, however, the setup for a universal and painful lesson that every man must learn firsthand. Placing blind trust in a woman is a profound and costly mistake. This is not a lesson born from cynicism or a belief that all women are inherently untrustworthy or evil. Rather, it is a hard truth rooted in the fundamental difference of how men and women are often guided. Where a man might operate from a place of logic, principle, and a sense of duty that persists despite fluctuating feelings, a woman's compass is frequently her emotions, and emotions, by their very nature, are not fixed. They are fluid, transient, and powerfully influenced by external circumstances, internal moods, and evolving desires. The same woman who looked you in the eye and swore with utter sincerity that she loved you and would never leave may, just a week later, feel completely different. She wasn't necessarily lying then. She was simply truthfully expressing what she felt in that singular moment. When those intense feelings inevitably fade or shift, so too does her sense of loyalty and commitment. This is the painful, paradigm-shifting discovery that every man makes only after he has been burned, that her beautiful words were never an ironclad contract for the future, but merely a vivid reflection of a passing emotional weather system. Chasm that opens up after betrayal, leaving men confused and devastated, is not a random occurrence. It is the direct result of a fundamental and often unacknowledged divide in how the sexes experience and express core concepts like love and loyalty. This isn't about one way being superior to the other. It's about recognizing that they are fundamentally different languages. When a man says, "I love you," he is often doing much more than expressing a feeling. He is making a declaration of commitment that is tied to a deeper framework of loyalty, duty, and permanence. For him, these words are a vow, a conscious decision that is meant to stand firm, even on days when the initial euphoric feeling is absent. His word is his bond, an extension of his integrity, and it is designed to survive the inevitable storms of changing emotions, financial stress, or personal hardship. He is wired for consistency, believing that the value of a promise is proven precisely when it is hardest to keep. In stark contrast, when a woman says, "I love you," its meaning, while incredibly genuine in the moment, is often tied directly to her prevailing emotional state. Her expression is a powerful and authentic reflection of what she feels right then. But it is not necessarily a vow for all future states of being. Her word is a snapshot of her heart's current weather, not a forecast for the entire season. This critical difference in wiring explains the common, yet baffling dynamic where a man will often stay in a difficult situation out of a sense of principle and commitment, even when he is profoundly unhappy. He is anchored. Meanwhile, a woman may feel compelled to leave the moment the emotional connection fades or her feelings change, because for her, that emotional fuel is the very engine of the relationship. Her loyalty is not an unconditional promise. It is conditional, continuously dependent on a complex set of factors, including how you make her feel. Whether she maintains a deep sense of respect for you, and whether you hold your frame as a man of purpose and strength. To expect her to offer the same kind of anchored, principle-based loyalty that a man naturally gives is to fundamentally misunderstand her nature. It is like expecting a river to behave like a rock. You are attributing qualities to it that it never possessed, setting yourself up for disappointment. When it inevitably flows in a different direction, The most devastating consequence of blind trust is not merely a broken heart. It is the comprehensive and willing disarmament of the self. It is a voluntary surrender of one's own defenses, driven by the hopeful but naive belief that the other person would never wield the weapons you have handed them. When a man places his full and unquestioning faith in a woman, he systematically dismantles every safeguard that protects his core being. He doesn't just give her a key to his heart. He grants her unrestricted access to his entire emotional world, his hard-won peace of mind, his financial stability, and the very essence of his identity. He merges his life with hers, often subsuming his own goals, friendships, and hobbies into the shared entity of the relationship. There are no contingency plans, no protected assets of the soul, no part of himself held in reserve. He operates on the assumption that their union is permanent, and therefore any form of self-protection is not just unnecessary, but a betrayal of the trust itself. This total lack of boundaries creates a position of catastrophic vulnerability. When her feelings inevitably shift, when she decides to leave, or when she commits the ultimate betrayal, the damage is not contained to a single aspect of his life. It is a total systems failure. Because she had administrative access to everything, she takes it all with her in the aftermath. She doesn't just break his heart. She shatters the world he built around her. This is the root cause of the extreme reactions we see in men who have been blindsided. The man who loses his mind and his sense of purpose after a breakup. The man who sees his fortune evaporate in divorce court, paying for a future that was promised but revoked. The man who loses his will to live after a betrayal that invalidates years of shared history. It is crucial to understand that her actions alone did not cause this total destruction. Her actions were the trigger, but the explosive charge was laid by his decision to trust without any boundaries whatsoever. He built his entire house on her foundation, not realizing her foundation was made of sand. This is the ultimate danger of blind trust. It is the act of handing someone a loaded sword, the sword that can dismantle your entire life. While sincerely hoping they will never swing it, you are betting your entire existence on the consistency of another person's emotions, which is the most volatile and unpredictable wager a man can make. The man who fails to learn this lesson is destined to pay the highest price, not just for a failed relationship, but for the loss of his own world, his stability, and his sense of self. He is left not merely sad, but financially ruined, emotionally hollowed out, and existentially lost, forced to rebuild from absolute zero, all because he believed that love meant the complete abandonment of self-preservation. The moment of betrayal is a crucible that forges men into one of two distinct entities. There is no middle ground. The path of the weak man is paved with bitterness. He internalizes the pain, not as a lesson about human nature, but as a definitive judgment on an entire gender. Its conclusion is absolute and self-victimizing. All women are trash. This is a defense mechanism, a way to armor a shattered ego with the cold steel of misdirected anger. But in choosing this path, he commits a deeper betrayal against himself. He closes himself off from future connection, from vulnerability, and from the possibility of genuine love. He mistakes his bitterness for strength, when it is, in fact, a prison of his own making. He lets the pain kill his spirit, ensuring that while he may never be hurt again, he will also never truly live again. The wise man, however, processes the same searing pain through a different lens. His conclusion is not about women being evil, but about them being emotional. His awakening is to the reality of a fundamental difference, not a moral failing. He realizes, women are emotional, so I must guard myself. This is not a declaration of war, but a strategy for self-preservation. Wisdom in this context is not about building impenetrable walls to keep everyone out. It is about constructing intelligent boundaries with a secure gate. It is the shift from trusting words to trusting patterns. It is the practice of trusting slowly and incrementally, of carefully observing actions over time and verifying that they align with professed promises. He stops offering loyalty as an upfront gift, hoping it will be reciprocated. Instead, he makes it something that must be earned through demonstrated consistency. He stops chasing the illusion of forever and starts appreciating the tangible reality of the present. There is a profound irony in this shift. The moment a man stops offering blind, unearned trust, he often becomes more attractive and commands more genuine respect. Women, on a deep and often subconscious level, understand the fluidity of their own emotions. They are aware that their moods can shift like the tide. When a man is not swayed by every emotional current, when he doesn't collapse at every tear, or chase after every silence, he projects a stability that is inherently magnetic. He demonstrates that he is not fooled by illusions or easily trapped in emotional games. This detachment paradoxically creates a sense of security for her. She realizes she cannot control him, and in that realization she finds a man worth respecting. The man who guards his trust, who requires her to prove her character over time, and who keeps his soul anchored in his own purpose, is the man who is never destroyed again. He transforms the pain of betrayal into the power of awareness, becoming not bitter, but unshakable. The final stage of this journey is not an endpoint of isolation, but an ascendance to a state of unshakable equilibrium. The ultimate lesson is not to hate women or to reject love, but to finally release the expectation that they will function according to a masculine blueprint of permanence and principle. It is the acceptance that female nature is emotionally fluid, and to fight against this reality is as futile as commanding the tide not to turn. This acceptance is not a surrender to cynicism. It is the foundation of true strength. With this understanding, you undergo a fundamental transfer of dependency. Your peace, your sense of self-worth, and your core stability cease to be external variables dependent on her presence, her mood, or her loyalty. That center of gravity shifts inward, anchored no longer in a relationship, but in your own purpose, your discipline, and your unwavering mission. A woman is no longer the sun around which your entire world orbits. She becomes a planet that may revolve within your solar system, adding beauty and complexity. But your gravitational core remains independent and unchanged. This inner anchoring allows you to engage in relationships from a position of strength, not need. You can still love deeply, connect passionately, and enjoy the company of women without the desperate clinginess that comes from fearing their loss. You do so with a calm understanding of the nature of the agreement. You give them the space to be emotional, unpredictable, and human without allowing their inherent chaos to destabilize your own frame. You let them love you, all while consciously knowing that their love is conditional and that those conditions are your responsibility to maintain through your strength, leadership, and ability to inspire respect. You let them be a vibrant part of your world, but you never again grant them the authority to rule it or the power to dismantle it. This conscious detachment does not make you cold. It makes you lighter, calmer, and sharper. It is the clarity that comes from having no illusions left to shatter. This is the embodiment of the kings and warriors of history, whose legacies were not built upon the trust of a woman, but upon the solid rock of their own vision. Women moved through their narratives, some stayed, some left, but their empires, their missions, and their sense of self remained intact. Their power was intrinsic. This is the lesson that must be internalized. Your trust must be a valuable currency earned through consistent action over time, not given freely as a blank check. And even when it is earned, it must never be absolute or blind. To place absolute trust in a nature that is inherently inconsistent is to invite ruin. If the most powerful men in history could lose empires by trusting the wrong woman, no man is immune. The wise man sees this historical pattern and chooses to keep his heart intelligently guarded without allowing it to turn to stone. Betrayal will always sting it is a testament to your capacity to care. But it will never again destroy the man who has already accounted for it as a possibility. That man does not collapse when she cheats, crumble when she leaves, or lose his identity. When her words change, he simply takes note, adjusts his strategy, and continues moving forward on his path. He understands that pain is no longer a paralyzing force, but a sharpening tool. Every test leaves him wiser, more resilient, and more strategically cold where he needs to be. Soon he realizes that no woman alive can ever truly destroy him again. Not because he is invincible, but because he has stopped gambling his entire soul on the consistency of her loyalty. She can wound him, but she can never obliterate him. Remains forever anchored in himself.